Hello, everyone. I'm very excited today to have a very special guest with me because she's a dear friend. Her name is Jessica Meyers, and she is the owner of Blowout Hair Studio and also a contributor, I guess, co-founder is the word I was looking for, of Overcomers, which is near and dear to my heart as well as hers. And so she's just got an amazing story that we want to share with you here on Beyond the Picket Fence. So welcome, Jessica.
Thank you.
And let's start with you telling me and all of everybody listening a little bit about who are you?
Who am I? Well, thank you, first of all, Missy and Max, for having me here on your podcast. It's a huge honor to be able to share a little piece of me. I was born in Albuquerque, New Mexico. My father was in the Air Force, so we kind of planted seeds everywhere. I'm the youngest of 4 children, and I would consider myself the bonus child because my sister and I are 10 years difference in age.
Oh, sounds like me.
Yeah. So prior to moving to San Antonio, we lived in Japan, and I think my dad, he got orders to come to Randolph Air Force Base, and so we moved to San Antonio. I was probably about 8 or 9 years old, and so I can call myself a Texan. I've been here long enough.
Yeah,
so,
me too.
Yeah,
30 plus years.
There you
yes.
go. Yeah. So, we moved to Texas. I graduated from high school here. And prior to graduating, I really did not know what I wanted to do as a career. And my dad made it clear that he wanted all of his children to go to college. He wanted to go to university for 4 years. Mm-hmm. That didn't work out so well for me, but I did try it. My mom, moms always know best. And my mom knew that I would be, my gifting was with hair and makeup. Mm-hmm. I did it all through high school. I would do everybody. Didn't know how to cut hair, but I was cutting hair. But my dad was like, no, you're going to go to college. So I granted his wish and went to, at that time, it was Southwest Texas State University. I guess now it's I don't know what it's called now. In San Marcos, I think it's, I don't know. What's it called now? Texas State. It's called Texas State now.
I was going to go. I totally blanked out for a moment. I know the college in St. Marcos.
Yeah, it's called Texas State now. And I did try going for about a year and a half and realized, you know what, I'm going to take Mom up on being a cosmetologist because I felt like that was my gifting. And so my roommate and I packed our bags. We moved to Austin. She transferred to UT. I went to hair school and immediately knew that was what I needed to be doing. Here I am 37 years later, still behind the chair. And 24 years of that, I've been on my own. I have my independent studio. But I did not feel really fulfilled with doing what I was doing. They'd call me the hairapist. Clients would come in for therapy, unload on me, and tell me all their problems. And as it's funny as you have it, my goal was to be a psychologist. And so I was like, I'm really doing that behind the chair because I know my customers intimately and probably more than their own families know about themselves.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, I hear it all. And so I have a good ear. I have a good ear for listening. But I wasn't sure that I was really being fulfilled. I was like everybody. We live day in and day out. We get up, we go work out, we go to work, we come home. It's the same routine day in and day out. And I just felt like something was missing. And it wasn't until I was diagnosed with breast cancer that I really found, my true calling.
Yes. So let's roll back a little bit because I always like to talk about kind of the journey to where we end up. And for many of us entrepreneurs, we realize that a 4-year degree may not be our setting. We have wishes, desires, and sitting in a chair doesn't work well. And you chose cosmetology, which is funny because you and I both talk about it. I have a cosmetology license too. It wasn't my mom owned her own shop for forever, but it wasn't what I ended up doing as my calling. And you obviously started that, and then you started basically being your own. You went on your own versus under somebody. And so tell us a little bit about what was that decision process and why you wanted to do that.
Well, for me, it was my mom. She had always wanted all of her children to have their own business. And so two out of four isn't bad. Me and my brother are both, my brother has his own business and I have my own. My sister and my other brother, they were the ones that got the 4-year degree. So, Dad got his wish, Mom got her wish. And we moved around so much that I felt like I was starting over every time. And being in the hair industry, the beauty industry, it's like you have to build up your clientele and then you move, you have to start over. So when we moved back to Texas, I knew this was going to be my roots. This was going to be my home. I worked in the salon for about 4 years and decided, you know what, it's time to just branch out and just take the bull by its reins and just do it. It's one of those, it's the unknown and you're a little afraid to take that step, but it was necessary in order to fulfill, what I thought, I was going to get fulfillment out of. So I did. A girlfriend and I that worked together, we both put our notice in. There was a brand new salon suite going up and we thought, you know what, let's just do it. And so I've been at the same location for 24 years. And it's been great. It's been great to me, at being my own, business person, just not having to deal with all the drama that goes on in salon and all the salon gossip. I just have my own space and I enjoy being able to, interact with my clients. And
What was that first week like?
It was very nerve-wracking. It was like, you're like, wait, you're just watching the clock going, am I going to make it? My clients are coming, but you're going to lose some in return, right? Because a move always, there's change. And so, yeah, it was a little scary at first, but, and I actually was not sure if I made the right decision. But as the years went on, I thought, you know what? I'm glad I did it because, it was the right thing for me.
Mm-hmm. Jessica, how did moving from all these different places, what did you learn from that and how did it help you in your business?
You meet a lot of different people moving around. I was a very shy, quiet person. And so it was really hard for me to kind of build relationships. Each place that we moved, I had to start over with friendships. And would you have it? I always say God has a sense of humor because I hate public speaking. So for me to be here today, it's like, oh my gosh, and I find that God has put me in situations where I'm weak at, he's made me stronger. And he's put me in these situations throughout, the last 10 years of having to go up front and speak and do public engagements and things. And literally, I dropped speech in college. I hated it the first day. I was like, I'm not having this. This is not me. But, here I am, just doing public speaking all the time and engaging with customers. I talk to my clients every day. It's a different relationship, but it was hard. It was really hard building those relationships and establishing friendships each place that we moved.
So it kind of give you a little bit of resilience to have to move and to have to figure it out and not being happy with the situation, but having to learn to deal with it.
Yeah, and I think most people who grow up military brats, you just adjust and you adapt to the environment. And it's part of being in the military. You move and you meet new people. You start starting fresh every time. So yeah, it's an adjustment.
Did you ever wonder what it would be like not to be moving around so much?
No, I actually like it. I actually liked it because that's all I knew. So when people say, "Oh my God, I've lived here all my life. I've never been out of Texas," I'm like, "What? You need to live a little bit." I feel like you got to spread your wings a little bit and see the world. There's so much to see here.
So you embraced it with
100%
positive attitude.
Yes.
And so we moved past that first week and you're past your first year. Mm-hmm. What do you think are some of the skills that you developed in making sure that your business kept growing and becoming successful?
Well, it's funny because I am a horrible bookkeeper. I keep terrible books. So every year I'm scrambling at the end of the year to get my taxes all in order. And it really bothers my husband because he's very organized, very, everything has to be in order. How do you run your business? But it works for me. It's learning as you go. You kind of learn as you go. What kind of inventory you need. You book your own clients. You know what your day is going to look like every day. Which I like because I have the ability to schedule my own, days without. If I want to take a day off, I take a day off. So I think it's a good thing.
And I know that it definitely helped in raising your son.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, my son thinks I'm crazy. Anyways, I mean he was busy playing baseball during his younger years, and off to college now, and will be graduating in December. So he's not so little anymore.
And I think something's unique about Jessica is you have an unusual pet.
Which one? I have 4 pets.
But an unusual pet that most people don't always have with your bird.
Yeah, he's a conversation piece. He talks a lot, and he repeats everything. So you got to be careful what you say because he will repeat. He makes microwave noises. He yells, "Come eat!" I mean, he's quite a character. He really is.
He is a character.
Yeah, and recently I've just acquired a new little schnauzer. She's 12.
Aw.
One of my clients passed away and willed her dog to me. So we have Sophie, and she's just a sweet reminder of Ellen.
Wow. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So, successful hair salon business. And then let's take a step into that day that changed your life.
Yeah, so every December I would go for a mammogram, and no different than any other December, I went in for my annual mammogram and got called back. And honestly, you don't ever think that you're going to be diagnosed with cancer. It's like one of those things you're like, okay, I'll go back and get more imaging done. And it turned into, well, you need a biopsy. And I thought, that's a step further than normal, which ultimately ended up with you have breast cancer. And it's a whirlwind when you're diagnosed. In hindsight, I think I would have handled it a little bit better. I was in that flight mode where, oh my gosh, I don't know anything about cancer. I don't know anything about breast cancer. My initial thought was, I don't want to die. That was my initial thought. I don't want to die.
That is the initial thought
Yeah.
when you get that phone call.
Yeah.
Yes. I can remember when I got mine, I'd gone in for a screening, and I had to sit and wait.
Oh, yeah.
And they said, you can't leave yet. And I went, Now, that comes from often having to go back a couple times for screening because of having dense breast tissue. But this one was different. And then I waited, and then I started to get worried. And then they came back and said, you need a biopsy. And then I went, holy cow. So we go and get our biopsies,
Yeah.
and then you get that other call that says, guess what?
Yeah.
You've got cancer. And that is a horrible word to hear.
It is. It is. I mean, and I think you and I were both kind of diagnosed around the same time. 'Cause I think you were diagnosed before me, so you kind of had guided me a little bit when I was diagnosed. So that was very helpful because going through a cancer diagnosis alone is not fun.
No.
It's not fun.
No, it's not. I mean, and I think it's really important for anybody that's not experienced one of those type of phone calls is your mortality rate slams you in the face.
Yeah.
It really stops you. I don't know about for you, but I know for me that day I was like, oh my gosh, how bad is it? Because you don't know how bad it is when they make that call. You don't have all the answers. You got to start going to get those answers. And that feeling of, wow, I got to start thinking about if I'm not here tomorrow.
Yeah. My son was 12 at the time, and all I could think of was, I'm not ready. I haven't seen him growing up. I want grandkids. So yeah, that was you can't ever forget that day.
No.
You can't.
No.
How much of the thought is kind of what you guys are referring to, right? Like what happens when I'm not here for everyone that's left behind, and how much of it is fear of not being here, and how much is, I missed out on stuff. Like, how was it for you guys?
I think it was more of I'm just not ready to go. I have a lot of life to live. I have a lot of things I want to do. I want to see. You're just not ready. It's not the fear so much of dying because ultimately we all going to go there.
Right.
And there's eternal life after that, right? So that was not a fear of mine, But I remember reading Proverbs 31:25, and it was, she is clothed in strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future. And that was what I hung on to. I was like, I'm not fearful, but I just didn't know why. What is my purpose? What am I supposed to do with this? Why did you pick me? Those were my questions, is how am I going to get through this, and what's my purpose in all this?
Yeah, I don't think I was worried about dying either. My thought process was really around, okay, what do I need to do to figure out how I beat this? Yeah. Okay, I'm not ready to die. What is the knowledge I need to have? What changes do I need to make? Yeah. And then I did have the thought process, okay, so if that happens, what do I need to have in order? What don't I have in order, and what do I need to think about getting in order, because I don't want anybody to have to deal with anything.
Yeah. And I think, too, for me, it was like I didn't want people to see my vulnerable side. So I put this mask on that I was fearless, and that, I never cried. I never showed my emotion. So people always thought that I was a strong person, but inside I was dying. I just was like, I don't know how I'm going to deal with this. Yeah.
It's interesting because I think it's such a powerful approach to that situation that you reference, because you said, what is the meaning of this? What's the purpose of all this? Kind of like, okay, there's a reason why this is happening. And in a sense, I got a feeling that the purpose in your mind was something positive, like there was a good reason for it.
Right.
Is that like, how did that happen? Like how does somebody get cancer and think, well, this is happening to me, but there's got to be a reason for it, and it's probably a good reason. How did you get that mindset?
So I can remember after my first treatment, it was probably about 3.5 weeks after my first treatment, and I remember standing in front of this big mirror in my house, and at that point I had no hair. My skin was just a hot mess. It was dry. It was flaking. I didn't recognize that person that I saw in the mirror. And I remember asking God, I don't understand, and I don't need to, but what is it that I'm supposed to do? And I said, I'm not ready to go. And if you just let me live, I will fulfill the purpose that you have for me. And so here I am today, almost 10 years out, fulfilling a purpose.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And an amazing one at that. I think, and both, we had the gift of having each other as workout buddies, and being able to compare notes and talk through things. And I think you're absolutely right. This is not something you ever want to do alone. No. There is strength in people that have walked it to be able to help you, as well as both you and I have a deep faith in our Lord, and He carries us. I mean, that's 100%. When you hand it over to Him and go, okay, whatever I got to walk here, I'm walking. Just help me figure it out and put me where I need to be and whatever I need to do. And that's probably why we never feared death.
No. Yeah. Trust in His plan, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So let's fast forward a little bit. And, well, actually, let's not go that fast yet. Let's ask a question of, what are some things that you learned during that walk of having breast cancer about yourself and maybe about others?
Well, I would have to say with others, it was, for one, there was nobody that I could not find support. And that was one of the things that was lacking in the community, is finding anybody to talk to that knew what I was going through. I could sit in the chemo room all day and I would not sleep. Everybody around me is sleeping. There's nobody to talk to, nobody to reference to. And, it's like there was very few people that came into the salon that had cancer. So, I felt very, very alone during that time. I really had to pull that strength out and figure out, okay, there's no support out there. I've looked, I couldn't find it. What am I going to do? And so honestly, for me, it was like, stay busy, just continue to just move forward, get through this, and, just find a way to fulfill not only my needs, but others. So it was like, I've always been the kind of person who likes to do community work. And, I'm just one of those people that I want to help others. I don't want people to help me. I want to help others. And you can relate to that because you're the same way. And it's like, it's really hard to accept help from others.
It is.
In all aspects. I had surgery and people wanted to bring meals to me. And I will never forget somebody saying to me, you are denying, others of really embracing and helping you by saying no. And so I said, okay, well then I won't say no. And so I didn't, but it was really, really hard.
Yes,
really
I had
hard.
that same thing said to me. That's funny. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to accept help.
No.
Because I didn't want to put anybody out. And
right.
Yeah.
And we're the ones doing the help all the time. It's
exactly.
like, you want to help me?
Exactly.
I'm supposed to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that because it's one of those crazy things about humans, right? Like what we need the most is what we don't want. Yeah. But what was it about not wanting the help?
I think it's just the personality. I want to say I always felt like I should be doing the helping. Like my mom was like that. She was a nurturer. And I always felt like I'm the one that wants to help you. I don't need help. I'm a do it yourself, do it all person. And I just felt like, I don't know. I felt like I was gonna be putting somebody out if they were helping me, or I just wanted to be the one helping, even though I was not in the best condition to help others. I still wanted to help others. I didn't want them helping me.
Yeah, and I would ditto that.
Yeah.
That it's been my problem with it too. I worked through the entire thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, I went back to work within a week of having a double mastectomy and charged through it. And I always remember the kindness of some of my associates. It'll make me cry.
I know.
That said, Missy, let me help you. Mm-hmm. And there was a couple times, because I was in a lot of pain and sucking it up, that I said, okay. And I was thankful for that help, really thankful. Because those of us that are do it ourselves are not able to be weak often.
No. Right. And don't you feel like that wall slowly came down and now it's like, I don't know, we're just, I feel like I'm a different person. I feel like, I'm more willing to accept, the help of others.
Yes. I would have to agree with that.
So what's the message to other people that could be going through this and feeling like they don't want the help or that they shouldn't accept the help? What's the message?
To take it. I mean, you're doing somebody a disservice by not. You're making them feel like, they really want to help. They really do. And they wouldn't offer that. They wouldn't extend that hand out if they didn't want to help. And, and if there are people, I know there's people out there like us, and it's just you have to let people in and let people help you, because at the end of the day, it's people helping people and just the community just coming together and being that light, in that darkness.
I think it's also not being selfish enough that we don't rob them of their joy too.
Yeah.
We look at it as we don't want to be a hindrance. And they need to have their joy filled.
Right.
And if we don't allow them, then we're really not doing them a disservice, as you said, by not allowing them to have the joy in helping. 100%. So I think ultimately the message is when they want to help, be gracious and let them help. Let their joy be full.
100%.
Yeah.
I agree.
So I know you had a much rougher time of it than I did. I got a little luckier because I didn't have to do the chemo and so forth. And going through that chemo process, tell us a little bit about that, because it's never fun to go sit in a chair and have all these toxins
Yeah.
dumped into your body.
No, it's not. And honestly, it's a whirlwind from the time you're diagnosed to all the labs that you have to do. It's like within weeks that you're getting your Mediport put in and you're starting chemo like within a few days. They brief you. They tell you, okay, this is the drugs you're going to get. This is how long each one's going to be. This is how you're going to feel. This is how we're going to, I mean, it was a lot of information. And thank goodness my husband went to me with every appointment because I honestly, it went in one ear and out the other. I didn't hear a thing. Like all I knew was they're putting chemicals, they're putting toxic chemicals in my body. Not only is it killing the cancer, but it's also killing all of my great cells too. And, and back then, we were healthy. We were kickboxing, we were, athletic, we were working out, and it takes a lot to knock me down. And that first treatment, they give you like double the amount because they know you're at your healthiest. And it was just the longest horrific day of my entire life. Sitting in that chair, just watching each chemo go through the tube and into my body. It was really, really hard. And, coming home from that, I was exhausted. I didn't know if I could take another one. I had, 6 treatments. I had to go through 6 months of that. Didn't know if I could take another one, but I knew I had to. I was like, okay, just push through it. Just, you can get through this. But it's just not a good feeling to be in that. And everybody around you is sick. Everybody's doing the same thing. And it's just not a positive atmosphere to be in.
No, but you brought up a really good point that I think it's important for us to talk about. And that is, you never want to go through, whether it's breast cancer or any kind of real illness, without a friend or a spouse going to your appointments with you, because a lot of what they tell you, you're just kind of going, and you walk out of there and you go, oh man, what did he say?
Exactly.
Or she say? And having that extra person really does help.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then things changed since COVID because people weren't allowed to have any guests with them, which was, I really felt bad for the people that went through cancer during COVID because they had to do that all by themselves and alone. Every appointment and every chemo treatment, they were by themselves. And I really have empathy for that.
So do I. COVID wasn't nice to anybody during those years. I think we learned a lot about loneliness. And anybody suffering from medical stuff really learned about that during those years.
So there's this phase where you first find out about the diagnosis. Then you're in the treatment and you're in pain or you're not feeling well, and your responsibilities in life don't just go away or disappear. So in many ways you're like, you've got all of that plus your regular life. What is that phase like of when you're having to kind of keep up with, the day-to-day life that you had before and in this? Like, because first it's the shock, and then you're actually in the middle of the process. What is that like?
It's exhausting. Honestly, it is exhausting. For me, it was like if I didn't keep busy, I didn't want to have to think about what I was going through. And from, going into work was like my saving grace. I mean, I could talk to my clients and they could give me support. And, I didn't ever want to talk about cancer, but it's kind of hard not to when you have, something covering your head and you're bald. I didn't want my clients to know, but I was like, it's kind of too late now. I mean, I'm already bald now. I have to tell them. Literally, my hair was falling out. And I told my son, I said, when you come home today, I'm probably going to have no hair. I went in the bathroom, shaved my hair, whatever was left, and put a handkerchief over my head and went to work. And I mean, that was life, day in and day out. I still had to be the baseball mom. I still had to be the wife. I still had to be the, entrepreneur. It was like life went on. And it was like, and that for me, it was keeping busy, but it wasn't until I had surgery when I had to slow down. And then I really had to process what the heck just happened to me.
What's going through your mind during the actual process, right? While you're getting the treatment and all of this is happening. Because again, first you kind of face your mortality, and then you're in the process of trying to figure out what's going to happen.
Yeah, just get through it. All you're thinking is just get through it. The next one will come. You just tally mark 2 down, 3 down. You just count the days to when you're done, and that's all you can do is just press forward and just stay strong. And life just keeps going. I mean, there's no stopping just because you have cancer.
I say we stay strong too because we don't want our loved ones worrying.
No.
I mean, I
absolutely
think
not.
If you really ask what's going on, we want to be busy so we don't have to think about it because that's a break, because it's on your mind 24/7. And then the rest of it is I cannot fall apart.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have my spouse fall apart. I don't want to
Right.
have my kids fall
Yeah.
apart.
You want to stay strong for them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You're like the glue,
Yes.
that holds the family together.
Yes, exactly. Very true.
Yeah.
So let's move from there to what you're doing now that fills that
Can I ask
joyful.
something before we
Yes,
get there?
absolutely.
So what's the next step, right? So first you find out
Right.
and you've got this whole thing.
Right.
Then you're working through it.
Right.
And then what happens? Like how was your experience? You had the surgery, you had the chemo and then surgery, and then is it a different stage? Is it the beginning of
Yes.
of a new stage?
Yeah. So you go through 6 months of chemotherapy every 3 weeks. And my oncologist only gave me 3 weeks before I had to have surgery. I didn't really have time to recover from chemo because I was on a certain medication that I needed to continue after my surgery, and she didn't want me to be off of it that long. So really, I had about 18 months of chemo. You go into surgery. I had surgery 3 weeks later. You're in the hospital. I had a double mastectomy with reconstruction. So it was an 8-hour long, drawn-out surgery. I was in the hospital for about 2 days. They get you up right away. They want you walking and moving. And then you go home. And it's funny because a week ago, June 20th, was the day I went home from the hospital. I had my surgery, and I went home 2 days after. And it came up on my Facebook, and I think you saw it. And the look on my face, I was so uncertain of what just happened to me because I actually had to stop and slow down because I had surgery. I'm like, oh, my gosh. And I'm riding home. I have no makeup on. I have no eyebrows. And I have this smile that's very forced, like, what the heck just happened to me? And I'm thinking, why do I feel like this? Because I had time to process. And I really didn't want to have time to process. So you go home and, they don't want you to do anything. You can't lift this and that. And I was going crazy because, I'm a busybody and I don't like to sit. So my neighbor would come over. I'd make it. She goes, let's go for a walk. I'd make it to the stop sign and back. And that was all I could handle. The recovery was supposed to be 6 to 8 weeks. I went back to work at 3. I was like, I can't be out for 6 weeks. I'm going back to work at 3, and I just took it easy. Yeah.
And what's going through your mind? Of course, you're in pain and you're restricted in all these ways. I'm thinking you're not thinking, okay, now I'm in the clear, right? Like, what's on your mind regarding?
You're waiting to go see your oncologist so that they can say, there's no evidence of cancer. And that, you really want to believe it, because you just went through hell and back. And you're sitting there going, okay, well, they said there's no evidence of cancer. I had an MRI. They don't see anything. But in the back of your head, you're thinking, is it really gone? And I don't think you ever not think that way, because survivorship's a whole different
Exactly.
ballgame.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, from going through it and then coming out of it on the other end, you still have this different fears, but you still have that question, of whether it's going to come back. If you go online, you can read a lot about statistics and stuff, and you really don't want to read some of the things on there because you don't know how true they are. But, they tell you, oh, well, your type of cancer, you have a 30% chance of it coming back, and your survival rate is, 15 years or 10 years or whatever, so that in the back of your mind, you're thinking, is it going to come back? Any little pain you have, you're like, oh, is it back? I mean, you never not have that fear.
Exactly. You never get rid of that 100%. We get more comfortable with it, I think is what we say, but we never get rid of it 100%. And I think, rolling backwards just a moment before the surgery, I don't know about you, but one of the first thoughts, too, is how quickly can we get this out of me? I want it gone. I want that surgery now.
Yeah, and you're thinking, if I went through 6 months of this treatment, it better be gone.
Yes.
Because, I look like a hot mess. And,
Yes.
I just want to be normal again. That's all. That's
How does
the
it
goal.
change your perspective of life after you've gotten through the surgery? They tell you there's no trace of cancer anymore, and you're just kind of recovering, and you know that there's always this doubt. But does it change your outlook in life and how you take in every day?
Yeah. I mean, I think that things that you were worried about or things that you used to get angry about are less important to you. I mean, your whole perspective changes on life in general. It's like, things that, you really focused on before are not a focus anymore. Oh, I used to get mad about that. Oh, I don't care. Someone just hit my car. Oh, well, it's like before you'd rant and rage and, you'd be mad but it didn't do you any good. It just didn't do you any good. And so your perspective on life is different in general because, now, you have breath in your lungs. Like, God gave you this opportunity to live. What are you going to do with it? That was the whole thing is, what am I going to do with this now? And what is my purpose?
Yeah, it does make you think about what's my purpose and what am I going to do from here forwards. I think that really bubbles up and changes the perspective of how you deal with business, how you deal with people, your compassion rate, your empathy and your sympathy, and you process things a lot different because you faced your mortality.
Yeah,
and
100%.
and I know for you and I, we go back to our faith walk and just know, okay, you've got something else for me to do, and I need to pay attention to it.
Yeah, you open your eyes.
Yes.
You see it.
Yeah. So with that, let's talk about after that walk and some of the things that you went through without having support, because that's true. That's the problem. You don't want to do this by yourself. And when you go see the doctors and everything else, they're all about, okay, we're going to do this, do this, do that. And that's it. They drop you.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have all the 10,000 questions that you want to have answered. Like when I'm wearing my mastectomy bra and it hurts like hell everywhere,
Yep.
that you can stuff fleece up underneath it. They're not going to tell you that.
Just the
They don't
little
have
things.
those conversations. Just the little things to go through to go, is there any better way to handle this or do that? You made a difference and made a decision. So tell us about that.
Well, so about the surgery or about overcomers?
Overcomers.
So that came to fruition. My nurse navigator, and I don't know if, for those who don't know who a nurse navigator is they're your guardian angel, basically. And they call you and check on you every week. They make appointments for you if you have any questions. And my nurse navigator I don't know what I would have done without her. And she, at that time, that was October, and I had finished surgery, chemo, and I think I was getting ready to have my stage 2 surgery. And she said, I want you to meet somebody. I think you'll have a lot in common. And so she introduced me to another breast cancer survivor. And we met and we talked, and we both kind of felt the same. And we felt like once you're cancer free, people just don't have empathy for you. They think, okay, you're fine. They wash your hands and they're like, you're okay now, but you're really not. I mean, there's so much to survivorship that we experience, that we felt like we were lost. And so my dear friend Jenny and I, we sat down and I'm a nurse navigator's house, and she made out a curriculum of what we felt like were the most important things as a survivor, basically goes through. And that was back in 2015. And in 2016, we had a small little pilot group of 10 ladies. And we said, okay, well, let's try this out. Well, I didn't know that I was going to have to actually be a speaker for this. And she gave me a topic. My topic was self-image and healthy living. And I said, okay, I can do this. But I was terrified. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to actually, talk to these ladies about this. And, I was so nervous. And we did it. And from that point on, we felt like, as an organization, we needed to get a nonprofit status in order to fundraise because we are literally volunteers. All of us are volunteers. And this is like, we have servants' hearts. So every single dime that we were to raise was going to go right back into our breast cancer ladies. And so we decided, hey, let's try to get our nonprofit status so that we can start fundraising because there was so much more we wanted to do with the organization, not just a survivors workshop. We wanted to, help ladies from the onset of their diagnosis all the way through their journey and for as long as they needed us. And so that's what we did. I mean, we got the Nonprofits for Dummies book, and it was the three of us. It was me, Jenny, and our treasurer. And we sat down and we just filled out all the paperwork, sent it off to the IRS, and lo and behold, we got our 501c3. So, and that was the very beginning of our becoming a nonprofit.
So I have to ask you a question with that because that's going to be one of my things is to start our own 501c3. If I say it right, I sometimes mess it up. How good is that book for dummies?
Oh, it must have been pretty good because we figured it out. Obviously, we had a lawyer that we communicated with. One of my clients knew a lawyer in Austin, never met her, but we communicated through email. She wrote up our bylaws for us. We sent it off with the paperwork, and everything was good. We got our little letter stamp saying that we were a nonprofit 501c3. So that was good.
What were in deciding to do that, Jessica, and starting that, because this is not something you make money at. Some nonprofits, they take salaries. You guys are complete volunteers. What were some of the challenges in the first year that you think is important for people to think about if they ever find themselves wanting to do this?
It's really getting the word out about what you do. Also, it's just fundraising because our foundation is based off of what we get. The money that we receive supports all of our programs. And if we don't have the funds, then, there's going to be a program that falls short. And it's really hard. And October is usually our fundraising month. It funds all of our programs. And, it's hard work. It really is. We don't, and maybe at some point we'll have a grant writer, but we don't. So we literally nickel and dime every fundraiser that we do. And, that's just, we have always said that we want the money to go back to our ladies because, we felt like it was important, to have that support in the community. And we kind of we're thinking, okay, so there's a lot of nonprofits out there that do, breast cancer, but there was none that really focused on the workshops of building, a breast cancer survivor up from where they were at, or none of them that really supported the caregivers and just different things. And, there's other organizations that do financial assistance, and that's one of the things that we do as well. But we just wanted to give people that option, of where they were at. I mean, some people don't need support. Some people say they don't need support, but ultimately, I mean, we're here, for as long as they need us.
And go ahead.
Why do you think this organization is so important?
Well, if you look at the statistics, 1 in 8 women are diagnosed with breast cancer. And, if you look around in a crowded room, you're like, gosh, 1 in 8 of these women are probably going to be diagnosed with breast cancer. And that's a huge number. And before, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I knew nothing about it, didn't know one single person with breast cancer, knew nothing about cancer. And I felt like it's important to have that support because women in general, we're busy. I mean, we have families to raise. We have children to raise. We have all these things that we do, but we don't take care of ourselves. And I think in the scheme of things, there's just not a lot of support in the areas that what we do as an organization. Nobody wants to deal with the hard stuff. Nobody wants to deal with why you're feeling the way you're feeling. Why do you have PTSD? Why are you having sexual issues? Nobody wants to deal with that. Everybody wants to deal with the fun stuff. Just meet up and be support to each other, which we do that too. But we wanted to deal with the heavier stuff because we felt like it was important for women to heal.
So what did you wish you had that you didn't, or that you did have that you wish for everyone to also have?
I mean, I felt like I didn't have anybody that could relate to what I was going through. I had my clients, but they didn't really understand, what I was going through because they hadn't been through it. They had empathy for me, but they really didn't understand. And for anyone who is going through it, I feel like, the support is very important. It's important to help these women navigate their journey. It's not an easy journey to go on, and it's one of those things that, you develop these extreme friendships and they become family to you, and we lose people. I mean, sad to say, but we've lost many, many of our overcomers, and but we've walked their journey from them from the very beginning to the very end.
What do you think you would have gotten from this organization if it existed during your process? How would it have made your life different or better?
Well, one of the programs that we offer is called Thrive to a Beautiful You, and that's the program that I facilitate. And because I'm a licensed cosmetologist, God has given me that gift to be able to help women. And so I can help women in the capacity of when they're newly diagnosed, walk with them of what's about to happen to them with their hair, their skin, their nails, their inner, just inner and outer beauty. I mean, because it's not all about the outside, it's the inside too. And so to be able to touch these women in the very beginning and help them navigate, hey, this is what to expect. It's a huge blessing. I didn't have that. I kind of had to, even though I'm a cosmetologist, it was like I didn't have that support. And I think it's, when I do these workshops and I see these women come together, they're just so appreciative and they're so thankful that we are able to provide that for them.
Yeah, that's clear down to what wigs do you want to buy and what wigs do you not want to buy. Yeah. And if you don't want wigs, what's your alternatives? Where can you get them?
Yeah.
And these are things that have worked for others, haven't worked. It's all those thousands of questions when you go through this process. That it would be really nice to be able to ask and get some input. I didn't have any help. I had to figure things out. Yeah. And that's what bothered me. Anybody that I find out has breast cancer, they're going to get a wedge from me. They're going to get small pillows to be able to put underneath their arm. And then I give them a lanyard because holding those drain tubes. Why are you going to stand? How are you going to stand in the shower with drain tubes clipped to what? Our fat?
I know. Exactly.
So, it's here. Here's a little thing I found that helped. And those little nuggets.
The little things.
It's the little things that makes that walk through some of the scariest things that you have to go through much more bearable. And in some ways, a lot more enjoyable for what can be enjoyable.
Yeah,
goes back to the real value of the experience.
Yes,
right? People that have experience, that have been there, that have done it, that have gone through it, that have learned from it, and that have this heart and approach to help others too. Yeah. Because some people might have gone through it, might have learned a lot, but I'm like, okay, I learned it, but having the people that want to provide that feedback, not just in support, because family members or friends can give it, but the actual practical experience, not just like either some theory or a book or what the doctor is going to tell you, which prepares them better and accompanies them better. And ultimately, how do you think that would have made you feel? How is that making them feel? And what is that doing for their health and well-being?
Yeah, well, it's funny because I think the number one thing that I get from most of these ladies from their early onset is they're afraid of losing their hair. Yes. I mean, they don't want to look in the mirror and not recognize that person. And, I tell them, and they feel comfortable with me because I've been through it and they can come to me and I can shave their head and they can be in the comfort, knowing that I know what you're going through, And so, I mean, I get that all the time. I just didn't want to lose my hair. Like they were more worried about their hair than they were the chemo. Like, and they're like, I don't want to look in the mirror. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. And tell us also, I think it's really important, you don't just do the beauty part of it, but you guys have whole workshops for the whole family. So walk us through some of your programs that you guys do, because I really think that's what sets Overcomers apart. It's part of the reason why I love you guys so much.
And we
as
love you
well.
too.
And what you guys offer has so much value that's just beyond paying a bill.
Yeah, 100%. So we have a multitude of workshops that we offer. We offer the Thrive to a Beautiful You, which is the onset of breast cancer diagnosis. And then we have a survivor's workshop, which is what the foundation started on, a 9-week workshop. And that just helps them navigate survivorship and what they're about, what they're experiencing as a survivor. We also offer our caregivers workshop. We usually do that quarterly for the men, because men are a whole different, ball game when it comes to relating. They have different fears, and it is led by men. And their group is very strong and tight knit because they feel that they have that comfortable space to talk about what their fears are, and they can help each other navigate, that. We have our Dove Fund, which is our financial assistance that we offer twice a year. Copays are just ridiculous, and just trying to get to your treatment, it's an expense. And, I used to look at my bills thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe how much this treatment is, but it's an expense. So, and we know the burden of that. So we try to help, as many, women that we can with the money that, we raise. We also have our Pink Under the Tree program, which is our big Christmas give back. And that one warms our heart because we get to help breast cancer ladies and their families during the holidays. And, it's just heartwarming to be able to just give them a hug, provide them with Christmas. And, we have Pink Santa that comes out they can take pictures with. And it's just a huge give back. The community pulls together in so many ways for that program because, it's tough when you're going through treatment, and it's tough if you're financially not stable, and who wants to think about Christmas when you're trying to battle your own battles, and you're wondering, how am I going to, provide Christmas for my family and my kids? And we've had women who are single and widowed, and we've bought presents for their cat or their dog. That's their joy. And so if we can bring some joy, to them, that's what we try to do in any capacity. We do retreats also, and that's just a safe space for people to really grow and learn a little bit more about how they're feeling. We have some fun activities that we do. We've added a winter retreat now because it's gotten so popular that people, want that time away. And you don't necessarily have to be from here to go to our retreat. You can be from anywhere as long as, you can get here. So, and we've met a lot of women that way, and that was their first touch, is coming to our retreat. And then they learn more about our organization, and then they come, to our other programs that we offer.
What's incredible to me is that this is an organization that's created by people that went through it, and they have the experience, and what you would have wanted, and you're working with the people that need it, and it's also very personalized. It's very real. It's not corporate. It's not boxed up and delivered. It's very, very human. It's very, very real. So, and it's rather small right now.
Yes.
So how can we all help more people? Because I think that we all know someone that's either suffered or died or going through it. And I'm sure we all want to figure out how we can collaborate and participate in that, especially knowing that it is going straight to those people, 100%. And that it is probably the best way that you can help someone, because again, it's very, very personal and personalized. How can we help?
Yeah, so everybody knows somebody who's been affected by breast cancer, grandma, mother, sister, wife, whatever. We are always looking for volunteers. They can go to our webpage, overcomersbreastcancer.com, and you can learn more about what we do as an organization. You can donate on the page as well. We have fundraisers that'll be going on in October. A lot of fundraisers all throughout the city that we would love, people to come out and even just if you just come out and just to say hi, and support us and get more information about our organization, we would love that. And like I said, really all of us and our leaders, everybody who volunteers for us, are survivors, and they all know what it's like, to go through such, tragedy, but yet a blessing in disguise.
There's something I'd like to ask both of you, because we've talked a lot about the patient. You guys have been patients. How about their family, their friends, their close ones? Because they might be watching this podcast and they're like, okay, I hear it. I kind of understand what they're going through. How can I help? How can I support? Or they probably have their own fears. What would you tell family members and people around this patient on what to think about, how to be supportive, what to worry about or what not to worry about? What's your advice?
I think it's important to find the resources that you need. Like children are a whole different ballgame. Wonders and Worries is fabulous for children. They do counseling for children and they kind of help them navigate that area. Caregivers, we do caregivers. Men, like I said, men need support too. There's a whole huge outreach out there that I think people are just not aware of. And it's just reaching out. I've done phone calls peer-to-peer, helping people that, they've referred people to, to our organization. Hey, will you talk to this person? They were just diagnosed. I think it's just, just reaching out in the community and finding out what's out there and the resources that are available.
Connecting.
It's
really about connecting for the needs.
Yeah.
And I have a question. I'd love to see what your answer is, Jess. And that is, after spending a lot of time with people going through this, what's the one thing you think you've learned the most about them in this process?
That's a good one. I think we're all I think we all have the same fears. We all have the same mindset. Some of us are more afraid to verbalize that. And some of us are open about that. And for people like me and you, we tend to hold things in. And I don't know. I think people out there need to know that they shouldn't be afraid to express how they feel, because you never know who you may affect. Your testimony, will inspire somebody, and somebody out there will probably feel the same.
I think that's awesome. So I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for being on this podcast. And also for being my breast cancer sister and also being such a good friend. I think this topic is really important, but I think it's also important to know that there are places that you can go. Overcomers is precious to me because I know your heart, and it also is from people that's walk the walk. So they really... you guys really know how to be the connectors, because if it's not something you can't do, you know where to push those people to or help them. But in addition to that, you guys are about the whole family if you need to be, and not just let me singularly work with you. So I want to say thanks for walking us through that today.
Thank you for having me.
I think we have a couple more minutes. Do we have a couple more minutes?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, just because I just love to give you an opportunity to close today with your thoughts or your ideas on what all of this has done for you, the whole journey, the whole experience, and what's the lesson that you've learned that you'd like others to share with others.
I think most importantly is just to find the simple things in life, the joy that brings, the everyday person, just to get out and not feel the stress of what you're experiencing, because cancer, that word cancer, can be very scary. But you have to look past that, and you have to really just embrace what you've been given, and you have to just know that you've been given that for a reason and a purpose, and that your purpose may be different than somebody else's, but just to find that simple joy in life, smell the roses and just stop to thank somebody, and just to love on people, because ultimately, as a community, that's what we're here for. We're here to link arms and help each other out. And for me, that's what it's all about. And I feel like that I'm going to do that. God has given me breath, and I have said that for as long as I have breath, that I will, honor what he's given me, and to be that resource for others. So yeah, just find the simple joys in life and embrace it.
Thank you. I think that's a wrap.
There we go. Thank you, Jess.
Yay! That went by quick.